So, hello. I'm really excited to be here. It is my first time being a part of this amazing event. Today, I'm going to talk about why challenging status quo is a good thing. Why shall we challenge ourselves and challenge others, and how, by doing so, we can create opportunities for ourselves. Initially, I wanted to talk about what can we do to change, empower our women in Bosnia and Herzegovina and build better and more inclusive society for them here in our country. And then a few days ago, my older son, who is here with us today and who just turned 18 a week ago, asked me, okay, Mom, what are you going to talk about during this TED Talk? And I shared with him the subject or topic of my talk. And then he said, why don't you talk about something that is universal to all of us? So, you know, there is one truth of being a mother. Mothers are weak when it comes to their sons. So, you know, I'm not an exception either. So his comment made me slightly rethink and change the subject of my discussion. Today I'm going to talk about challenging status quo in general and also how it impacts the women in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Creating a more inclusive society for our women in Bosnia and Herzegovina requires us to challenge the current situation. It requires us to reassess traditional values we were raised with. It requires us to think about and change the traditional roles women and men have in our families, in our schools, in our workplace, and in society as a whole. See, but let's not talk only about the woman. In any aspect of our life, if there is something you do not like, in every aspect, you need to do something about it. If we want to make a difference, it is not simply enough to raise the hand and say, this is not good, we need to change it. No, you need to do something about it. So one of the best quotes, or my favorite quotes, is, be the change you want to see. Change is good. Change is inevitable. Change is natural. It is very well said that nothing in life is permanent except change. So why do we as a human and as a society have problems with change? I would say accepting status quo is just comforting, it's easy. You don't need to do much. You are there, you brag about the others, you complain about it, but more or less this is, you go with the flow. Accepting status quo doesn't require you to make decisions, to make choices, and potentially to make bad decisions and bad choices. This is why we as humans and as a society very often just accept status quo. But, you know, if the humankind did exactly that over the centuries, where would be our society now? Without challenging status quo, we will stagnate as individuals and we will stagnate as a society. We will miss opportunities, the quality of our life will be worse, we will be less successful, and we will enjoy less the life we are living. It will not be as fun as it could be when you know that you are doing something and you are really making a difference. So the question is, why are we afraid of change? I think that we fear change because change bears risk. The outcome of a change, of the change situation, of challenging the status quo, is very often unknown. And our brain is wired in a way that in such situations we usually make up different scenarios, and then, you know, we somehow very often end up that the worst case scenario in our mind is the most probable one, and we block. But let's look around. Let's look around in the nature. How do other species react to the change? For animals, the change is natural. It could be seen in the nature that animals very often react to a change by changing their behavior or even changing their physical characteristics. Why? Because they have instinct, survival instinct. They believe their feelings. They believe that it is okay to fight to survive, to continue. And this is how they go through the crisis or through this change situation. So for humans, perhaps the answer for accepting the change could be going back really to the nature, going back to our instincts, fight, and somehow find that instinct, survival instinct we all have in ourselves. I will briefly share with you a couple of stories from my life. I think that one thing really helped me in my life was that I wasn't afraid of challenge, and I learned to embrace and adopt the changed circumstances. Just a few days before I turned 18, I was involved in a very severe car accident as a passenger. I almost lost my life. It took me a very long time to recover. I had multiple surgeries. I remember laying in my bed for 18th birthday. I didn't celebrate 18th birthday like my son last weekend with his friends, all partying and in a good mood. No, I was laying in the hospital, in a bandage, in a medical plaster, severely injured, and I remember my friends coming to cheer me up. And for me, it was really a very, very difficult situation. And this is probably where my natural survival instinct kicked in. I started embracing the change. Why? Because in that moment, change only meant for the better. I went through very tough medical and painful rehabilitation. I went back to school 2 months after the car accident. I never missed a class, although I was wrapped in a bandage and I looked like a mummy. But I really didn't want to give up. And I graduated with a distinction. So I felt good. This is the first time in my life that I really felt good because I have made it. So almost 1 year later, or 1 year after the car accident, life is good and I'm starting to prepare to enroll into university, and then war happens. Again, I had to flee my hometown. Very, very soon I had to leave Bosnia. And eventually I ended up in Germany. From life-threatening situation, which was really big shock for me as a teenager, I ended up in a country where I knew nobody, where I had very limited financial means to support for my life, very limited support from relatives that I could count on. And I somehow got on autopilot. I just had to do it. There was no return. It's a point of no return. So I started to do one thing after another. First, I found a job. Then I found a place to live. Then I started, looking for friends, for alliances, somehow to cope with all this, what was happening to me, and to get support because I was away from my parents and I was away from most of my friends. So this is, again, an example how, by embracing the change, by doing something about it, I really managed to influence my life, and this is probably the reason why I'm today standing with you. So the third example how embracing the change or leading the change impacted my life is my professional career. I work in a very male-dominated industry. I've been there for more than 20 years. And I was the first female that was mother of 2 young boys that was actually chosen for a managerial position. After a few years, I was the first one that was given leadership position in country and later also in our region. Why? I'm sure I wasn't the first one that has deserved it. No. There were other women before me who were equal or even better than I was. Why I was selected? Why I have made it? Because I didn't wait until somebody changes the company or somebody changes the requirements to be promoted. I simply did what I knew it's right. I did my best. I raised my hand. I asked 3 quick questions. And I actually made them promote me because it was so natural to them as well. I ticked all the boxes. So change is possible. And change is even more fun if you really do something about it. So I would really encourage you, next time when you believe that something's wrong in your life, just don't complain. Just do what you think it's good. And even if you fail, you didn't lose anything. So very often I think, actually, why I'm so different or why this happened to me. And then some 15 years ago, I attended the leadership training, and I was introduced to a concept, psychological concept called Locus of control. It was developed by psychologist Julian Rotter in the late 50s, and it basically helped me understand better what was happening with me. Locus of control is considered to be an important aspect of personality. Locus of control actually refers to individual's perception. What are the main reasons for your life? Or to say it in other words, is your life a result of your actions, your choices, and your decisions? Or is your life a result of faith, God, society, or somebody who is mighty and in position of control? You can have internal or external locus of control. Science shows that people with internal locus of control, people who think they are in control of their destiny, are the ones that are usually more happy, have more resilience, easier adapt to changes, and this is also very important, have better jobs and have better salaries. So if that's not a good reason for you to think about this concept, then I don't know, is there any other? Anyway, it is true that in many events of our life, there are events that are beyond our control. But there is always something that we can control. We can control ourselves. We can control how we react, what we do about the things that are happening to us and around us. So we do have control. So, although some of the factors for individuals' locus of controls are inborn, what is very important is that it can be changed. If you train yourself, if you try hard, and if you repeat it all over again, you can change the locus of control and you can change whatever is happening to you. So, here is the process to practice. Remember always that there is a choice. You do always have a choice. Look for options. Identify your options. There are always not one, two. There are multiple options that are there available for you. Ask others for ideas. Whatever the problem is, I'm sure you are not the first nor the only one that deals with that. So talk about it. Don't be afraid to show that you are facing difficulties. From the options identified, use and choose the one that is best for you. And remember that option. Stick to your option, stick to your choices, and take action about it. Focus, do it all over again, and talk positive. Talk and think positive. Talk and think positive not only to the others, but also to yourself. Because riskiest thing we can do is just maintain status quo. So to go back to the initial subject of my discussion, empowering women in Bosnia and Herzegovina, equally, I do not think that we as a society need to empower women in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Women need to empower themselves first in their minds, to prove themselves that they can do it, they're good, and they are legitimate legitimately have a right to do whatever they want. When I was a child, I wanted to be military pilot. And my father never said to me that I cannot be military pilot because in former Yugoslavia that was forbidden. It was not possible. He let me have a dream that I can be military pilot. Why? Because he wanted me to dream big, to become big. So please, for all women, please, dream big, think big, act big. And I will give you 2 reasons why I believe women need to be empowered and equal to men, not only in Bosnia, but in any society. There are 2 good reasons. First reason is women are more than 50% of the world's population and population in Bosnia and Herzegovina. But I really like this other reason. Women are mothers of the other half. And as mothers, and I told you previously at the beginning, mothers are weak when it comes to their sons. But guess what? Men are weak when it comes to their mothers. So, thank you.